Hi, this is Ben Solomon and welcome to the TechnoLeadership Show. In this episode, we are going to be talking about how to prepare yourself to move from a technology professional or engineering professional into a management role. So, going into management role could entail a lot of different roles. In big organizations with big teams, you might go first into like a team leader role and then into a role that would be more like an ICT operations manager role or an engineering manager role, which would cover a larger area, and then go from up there into, depending on the kind of methodologies and frameworks used, either into like a chapter lead role, CIO, CTO, director style role, and then if there is a VP role, then obviously into that. So that's kind of the progression, but the first step up from being a technology professional or a senior technology professional going into a management role would be either a team management role or a area management, operations management sort of role, where you look at the holistic operation of your department, which could be managing infrastructure, it could be managing the development teams, things like that. So before you even go into that sort of thing, first thing to look at is your personal strengths and weaknesses. So doing a SWOT analysis of sorts to determine what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what opportunities you have based on those things, and based on what your organization has opportunities for, and threats, like what weaknesses might affect you in a role that's a management role. For example, if you're someone who doesn't really enjoy dealing with conflict, it's going to be a bit difficult being in a leadership and management role where you are leading people in a team. There's going to be conflict. There's going to be conflict between you and them. There's going to be conflict between each other. No matter how much you respect each other, how colloquial the team is, and how collaborative and great you're together, there are bound to be conflicts that occur. And if you're someone who doesn't really enjoy that, then you've got to look at it. Do I invest in myself to build the skills that I need to be able to manage those conflicts effectively, or do I look at other roles that would be more suited to me? So doing that strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats on yourself as a person helps you determine what's best for you. Like, maybe sometimes you might have to move to a different organization if you really want to go into management, and your strengths and weaknesses say that management in that particular organization, the style of team that you have might not be the best, but a different opportunity like an operations management role or an infrastructure management role, where you might have a few infrastructure engineers, but the style of leadership and management that comes in there could be slightly different. So it really depends on doing that and understanding yourself, understanding the environment that you're in, and if it's conducive for you to step up into that management leadership role. So once you've done that, figure out what your natural inclinations are. So to figure out what your natural inclinations are, the way you problem solve, the way you operate as such, doing tests like the Myers-Briggs type indicator, Kolbe A index, that's KOLBE A index. They've got a few tests, but A index is the one that you'd want to do to see how you work with things and how you operate in a problem solving sort of situation. Enneagram is another one that's very useful. DISC, D-I-S-C, Strengths Finder, MARC, which is visual, auditory, reading and kinesthetic, and then character strengths. So if you do these, obviously there are a lot more that you can do, but these would help you get a really good understanding of your strengths, your weaknesses, and how they will support you in your career going forward. So it's not to depend on one particular test. Doing multiple of these tests helps you get a common thread. Like if you see 4 out of 5 tests give you that you're a detail-oriented person, well, that's a strength that you've got to utilize. In a leadership and management role, what was your strength as a detail-oriented person in a engineering or technologist role could be a weakness in a manager and leadership role, because it has the tendency to make you want to micromanage things and ensure perfection. When you move into management and leadership, your role is to set the bigger vision and let your team figure out how they get to that vision. Your job at that stage is to set the what needs to be achieved and ensure that there are no blockages for your team. Give them as best as possible the resources that they need to achieve the end result, and let them determine how the result is achieved, as long as there are governance frameworks and other things that are in place to ensure that the result is appropriate for the business that you're working at. So that's where you've got to look at these things and ensure that you have things in place to help you mitigate some of those potential weaknesses when you go into those sort of roles. So yeah, that's knowing yourself. And once you've found the common themes, you can work with them, strengthen the areas that are strengths and will benefit to you when you go into those sort of leadership and management roles. And when there are weaknesses and tendencies that could potentially affect your leadership and management, then find ways to work with them to ensure that they don't get in the way, but are there as a stopgap, as a fallback method, so to speak. So if you're detail-oriented, you could utilize that to ensure projects are finished on time, to budget, and things of that manner. But as a management or leadership professional, you have to be able to allow your team to find their how and give them the freedom, give them the opportunity to thrive as well. Then the next thing that you'd benefit from is speaking to your current and past managers and colleagues to determine what your perceived strengths and weaknesses are, because they've been observing you, they've been working with you. They see certain things that you and I miss. Like, it's easy for us to miss some of our strengths because we do it so naturally. So having them tell us, look, I've actually noticed that you're so good at X, Y, Z, whatever that is, helps us in then going, yep, I've already got this and it's so natural to me, and you can utilize that when you go higher in higher level roles. Then once you've done all this is mostly working on yourself, trying to understand what your strengths, weaknesses, all of that are. Think about where you want to be in 5 years' time, what your career vision and your life vision is. Once you understand that, you can then look back and go what your next step in your career should be. And if the role within the company that you're in is the right role for you to step up, or should you be looking into another company, another industry to find a role that would be appropriate to achieve your long-term vision. So once you have a good understanding of all this, then you can go and research what the next level role is going to be. So is it going to be an IT operations manager role? Is it going to be engineering lead? Is it going to be a team leader? Whatever it might be. Once you understand your vision, your strengths, weaknesses, and all that, then you can go and look at job ads for the role that you want to apply for next and see what are they asking for. What are all the skills that they're asking for? Is there any certification Is there any other education that they expect of you? Are they asking for, let's say, project management certifications? Are they asking for memberships in certain associations? All of these things can happen. Different companies have different requirements, and understanding what the requirements of the kind of companies that you want to work for is very important. And once you have an understanding of that, you can then start working with yourself. Like if there is a requirement for a certain style of certification, for example, a PMP certification, just as an example, then, and if you don't have one, you can look into doing it. You can set aside time, get that sort of training, and if it's within the company that you're at the moment, and if they have training budgets, then you can work with your HR and training department to figure out if you can get access to some training, do the certification, and then put your hand up for the next leadership management role that comes up within the department. Once you've done all of that, look at your life experience. Like, have you had other leadership experience? Have you led sporting teams, maybe debate, quiz, whatever teams at school or university or whatever? Think about all of those experiences, because all of that matters. And when you've had experience in leading other teams, even if it's outside of work, you can bring all of that experience to your next role. That is part of the value equation that you bring into that role. So once you've determined all these things, start rewriting your resume and cover letter in preparation for the roles that you want to apply for. Ensure that you're matching your strengths to the common themes that you've observed in the job ads that you've done research on. And once you've done all that, it's time to start applying for roles and, getting into interviews, doing interviews, gaining that confidence. And in some cases, for some people, getting some coaching might be the difference that you need to help you gain that confidence in yourself, to make sure that your resume is up to scratch, your cover letter is up to scratch, and your LinkedIn profile is looked at and refreshed. If that's something that you need, someone like myself, or there are other people out there, are someone to approach and talk to and see if you can get that sort of help. So yeah, basically these are the action steps if you are looking to prepare yourself to move from a technology professional role into a management role. Do a personal SWOT analysis to understand your strengths and weaknesses and the opportunities that are there and the threats to those opportunities and growth. Figure out what your natural inclinations are by doing things like the MBTI, which is the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, Colby A Index, Enneagram, DISC, Strength Finder, BARC, which is visual, auditory, reading, kinesthetic, BS character strengths, and then look at the common themes of the results that you're getting in psychometric tests. Some of you may not believe in psychometric testing, but just do it, and do it when you're fresh, and do it not to try and game the system, but to gain an understanding of how you operate naturally. And then utilize the common themes, look at the common themes across the answers from all of these tests, and then speak to your current and past managers and colleagues to determine what strengths and weaknesses they've perceived from having worked with you. Put all of that together and then figure out where you want to be in 5-10 years time, your career and life vision. And based on that, you will know what role you need to apply for next. And once you get an understanding of what role you need to apply for next, start looking at all the job ads that are coming out for those roles in the type of companies and industries that you want to work in, and look at all the common themes again, look at all the skills they're asking for, certifications, any of those sort of requirements. And if you need to upskill, if you don't have certain certifications, certain knowledge and skills, do courses. There are short courses available on platforms like Udemy, from LinkedIn Learning, and a lot of other platforms like that, Skillshare, and grow your skills. Find opportunities to utilize those skills so that you can say that you've used them in a practical manner. And look to see if you've had other leadership experiences in your life, like leading sporting teams or other positions like that. Then rewrite your resumes to match the common themes that you've observed in the job ads that match your competencies and experience, so that it positions you as the right person for that sort of role. Write a cover letter for the roles that you're wanting to apply for, and start applying for the roles. Like, you've got to put yourself out there, utilize feedback that you get from recruitment agents and from companies to continue to improve your resume and cover letter. And if you need coaching, find the right coach, either myself or others, and get coaching to help you gain confidence in yourself. You already have all that you need, the strengths that you need to shine. You just have to unearth them, have to polish them, strengthen them, and go out there and win in your career. So hopefully that helps you out. There's action steps that you can follow, and everything that's helped me in my career, and also has helped my team members that I've coached in the past get to where they want to go to, and hopefully that helps you as well in your career growth as well. Thank you for listening. If you like this episode and would like to hear more valuable information around technology careers and engineering careers going into leadership and management positions, please do subscribe to the channel, and I'll look forward to talking to you soon. Take care. Have a great one. Bye.